My mother tore up my hospital records, screaming that I'd let my sister die. My father called me a selfish mistake for refusing to donate my heart. But when my sister survived, she told me something about our parents, something that put them behind bars for life. The hospital records hit the floor like snow, white pages scattering across the linoleum, test results, blood work. My name, Daniel Morgan, age 24, printed at the top of each sheet. My mother ripped them systematically, one page after another, tearing through medical jargon and diagnostic codes while she screamed, "You're killing her! Your own sister!" People were staring. Other families in the waiting room, nurses at the station, a security guard talking into his radio. I stood there, numb, watching my mother destroy documents that proved I couldn't save my sister's life, not without dying myself. "The doctor said you're a match!" Mom shrieked. Her face was red, mascara running. "You could save Emma's life by donating my heart," I said quietly. My father stepped forward, his face twisted with something that looked like disgust. "So what?" he said. His voice was cold, controlled. "She's dying. You'd still have hers." That wasn't how it worked. My sister Emma, 22 years old, graduating college this spring, needed a heart-lung transplant. Advanced cardiomyopathy, genetic, progressive, fatal, without intervention. I was a tissue match, 6 out of 6 markers, perfect compatibility. The doctors had suggested a domino transplant. I'd receive a deceased donor's organs. Emma would get mine. Except 3 days ago, during pre-surgical testing, they'd found something. A congenital heart defect. Long QT syndrome. Severe. Undiagnosed until now. The surgery would kill me. My damaged heart couldn't withstand the procedure. Dr. Richard Patel, chief of cardiothoracic surgery, 28 years of experience, had explained this to my parents 3 separate times. They didn't care. "You're her brother!" Mom grabbed my shirt. Security moved closer. "You're supposed to protect her. I can't die for her." "Yes, you can!" She lunged. The security guard pulled her back. My father's words cut deeper than hers. "We never wanted you anyway," he said, matter of fact, like he was commenting on the weather. "Emma was the planned one. You were the accident we kept out of obligation." I'd always known I was different, the forgotten child, the one they didn't brag about at dinner parties, the one whose birthday they sometimes forgot. But hearing it said out loud, in a hospital waiting room, in front of strangers, made it real. "If Emma dies," Dad continued, "her blood is on your hands." I'd been the spare child for 24 years. Emma was born first. Beautiful, smart, athletic, everything my parents wanted in a daughter. Then I came along 22 months later. Unplanned, unwanted, a surprise that disrupted their perfect family dynamic. Growing up, the difference was obvious. Emma got piano lessons. I got hand-me-down clothes from cousins. Emma had birthday parties with themes and guest lists. I got dinner at home with just family. Emma's report cards went on the fridge. Mine went in a drawer. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was fine, that I'd make my own life. I moved out at 18, put myself through community college working 2 jobs, got a degree in IT, found a decent job at a tech company in Seattle. I saw my parents maybe twice a year, Thanksgiving, Christmas if I couldn't avoid it. Emma and I were closer. She'd call me, text me, ask about my life. "I'm sorry they're like that with you," she'd said once. "We were both home for Christmas. She was 20, I was 22. It's not fair. It's fine. It's not. They should love you the same. They don't, but that's okay. I have my own life now." She'd hugged me. "I love you. You know that, right?" "I know." 6 months ago, Emma got sick, started with fatigue, shortness of breath. Her girlfriend convinced her to see a doctor. The diagnosis came fast. Dilated cardiomyopathy. Genetic. Aggressive. She needed a transplant. Soon. Our parents called me for the first time in 8 months. "Emma's sick," Mom said. No preamble. No small talk. "She needs a heart transplant. You need to get tested. See if you're a match." "Of course," I said. "Whatever she needs." I flew home the next week. Got tested at Seattle Presbyterian Hospital. 6 out of 6 markers. Perfect match. The doctors explained the domino procedure. It was rare, but possible. I'd get a deceased donor's heart and lungs. Emma would get mine. "We'll need to run comprehensive testing on you first," Dr. Patel said. "Make sure you're healthy enough for the surgery." "When can we start?" "Tomorrow." I spent 3 days getting tested. Blood work, EKGs, stress tests, CT scans, every possible diagnostic tool they had. My parents stayed at the hospital the whole time, hovering, asking the doctors when we could schedule the surgery. "We're still evaluating Daniel's results," Dr. Patel said, "but he's healthy. We need to move fast. We'll have answers soon." On the 4th day, Dr. Patel called me into his office. He looked tired, serious. "Daniel, we found something during your cardiac workup." My stomach dropped. "What?" "You have long QT syndrome, a congenital condition affecting your heart's electrical system. It's severe, type 3, based on your genetic markers." "What does that mean?" "It means your heart is unstable. You're at high risk for arrhythmias, sudden cardiac arrest, and surgery, especially a transplant, would be extremely dangerous." "How dangerous?" He didn't sugarcoat it. "The surgery would likely kill you. Your heart couldn't handle the stress. Even with perfect conditions, your survival rate would be less than 10%. The room tilted. "So I can't donate." "No, I'm sorry, but we'll keep looking for a deceased donor for Emma. There's still hope." "Have you told my parents?" "Yes. I explained it 3 times. They don't seem to accept it." That's when things got bad. My parents didn't accept it because they didn't want to. The next morning, I heard them arguing with Dr. Patel outside Emma's room. There has to be a way. Mr. Morgan, your son's condition is life-threatening. The surgery would kill him. But there's a chance, less than 10%, and that's optimistic. 10% is better than zero, my mother's voice. If Daniel dies, at least Emma lives. That's what matters. I felt cold. Mrs. Morgan, Dr. Patel said carefully, I cannot ethically recommend a procedure that would almost certainly kill the donor. You're a doctor. You're supposed to save lives. I'm trying to save both their lives. Emma's the important one. I walked away before I heard the rest. They banned me from Emma's room, said I was stressing her out with my refusal to help. I spent 2 days in my hotel, waiting, hoping they'd calm down. Then my mother showed up at the hospital with my medical records, the ones Dr. Patel had given me to take to a cardiologist for follow-up treatment. She'd broken into my hotel room and stolen them. That's when the scene in the waiting room happened. The screaming, the torn papers, the accusations. Security escorted my parents out of the hospital at 3:47 p.m. on October 12th. They were banned for 48 hours. I stood in the waiting room, shaking, while a nurse helped me pick up the shredded documents. I'm sorry, she said quietly. Are you okay? I don't know. Dr. Patel found me 20 minutes later. Daniel, come with me. We went to his office. He closed the door. I need to be honest with you about something, he said. Your parents have been pressuring me and my staff to approve the surgery anyway. They've threatened legal action, complaints to the medical board. They've even tried to go over my head to the hospital administration. What did the administration say? That I'm the chief of surgery and my medical judgment stands. But Daniel, he looked uncomfortable. I'm concerned about your safety. My safety? Your parents are desperate, and desperate people do dangerous things. I want you to consider staying somewhere else, not your hotel, somewhere they don't know about. You think they'd hurt me? I think they're not thinking rationally, and I'd rather be cautious. I checked into a different hotel that night, used a friend's credit card so my parents couldn't trace it. For 3 days, I heard nothing. Then my phone rang at 9:23 p.m. on October 15th. Unknown number. Hello? Daniel? A weak voice. Female. Emma? I'm alive. She sounded exhausted. Barely there. They found a donor. I got the transplant yesterday. Relief hit me like a wave. Oh my God. Emma, that's incredible. I'm so glad. I need to see you. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Alone. Don't tell Mom and Dad. My relief turned to dread. What's wrong? Just come. Room 847. Wait until they leave for dinner. They go every night at 6. Come at 6:15. Emma, please. It's important. She hung up. I showed up at Seattle Presbyterian at 6:11 p.m., parked in the visitor lot, took the elevator to the 8th floor, watched from around the corner until I saw my parents leave. They looked tired, relieved. Mom was actually smiling. I waited until they were in the elevator. Then I walked to room 847. Emma was propped up in bed, pale, tubes and monitors everywhere, but alive. Close the door, she said. I did. Lock it. I locked it. She pulled something from under her pillow, her phone. I need to tell you something, she said. Her hands were shaking. And you need to listen to everything before you react. Okay. I heard them. Tears filled her eyes. After my surgery, I was sedated but conscious. They thought I couldn't hear, but I did. Heard what? They knew. Her voice cracked. They knew about your heart condition. Dr. Patel told them, explained it multiple times. They understood that the surgery would kill you. My chest tightened. And they demanded you do it anyway. The room spun. What? I heard Mom say it. I was in recovery. They were standing outside my room. I could hear them through the door. She was crying now. She said, if Daniel dies during the surgery, no one will question it. We'll be devastated parents who lost a son trying to save their daughter. No. Dad agreed. He said, at least we'd have the insurance money. $2 million should cover the house and Emma's medical bills. Insurance money. What insurance money? Emma handed me her phone. I took photos. Before the surgery. When I was coherent enough to think straight. Mom's purse was on the chair. I went through it. I looked at the screen. Life insurance documents. Pacific Northwest Life Insurance Company. Policyholder, Daniel Joseph Morgan. Death benefit, $2,000. Beneficiaries, Robert and Catherine Morgan. Effective date, April 3rd, 6 months ago. The date Emma was diagnosed. There's more, Emma said. She swiped to the next photo. Another policy. Same company. Same beneficiary. Another $2 million. $4 million total. They took these out right after I got sick, Emma said. I found the paperwork. The original applications. They forged your signature. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. There's a recording too, she said quietly. I recorded them. Last night. They didn't know I was awake. She opened a voice memo. Pressed play. My mother's voice came through the phone speaker. Clear. Unmistakable. I still think we should have pushed harder for Daniel to donate. The timing was perfect. My father, Patel, wouldn't budge. Too ethical. We could have found another surgeon. And risked exposure? No. This way is cleaner. Emma survived. We don't have to explain Daniel's death. But $4 million, Robert. $4 million. We'll find another way. Maybe an accident. Something that looks natural. His heart condition could work in our favor. Sudden cardiac arrest happens all the time. My father again. Let's give it a few months. Let things settle. Then we'll revisit the options. The recording ended. I couldn't breathe. They were going to kill you, Emma whispered. For insurance money. They planned it. The pressure. The guilt. They wanted you to agree to the surgery knowing it would kill you. And when that didn't work, they started planning something else. Why are you telling me this? Because you're my brother. She grabbed my hand. And I'm not going to let them murder you. I sat sat in that hospital room for 20 minutes, just sitting, trying to process. My parents had taken out life insurance policies on me, $4 million, forged my signature. Then they'd tried to pressure me into a surgery that would kill me so they could collect. What do I do? I asked finally. We go to the police, Emma said. Right now, before they come back. They're your parents too. They tried to kill my brother. Her voice was steel. I don't care what they are to me. They're murderers, and I'm not protecting them. I called my lawyer first, Marcus Chen, attorney at law, specializing in criminal defense and family law. I'd used him for basic legal stuff, lease reviews, employment contracts. He answered on the second ring. Daniel, everything okay? No, I need help. Criminal help. What happened? I told him everything. The insurance policies, the forged signatures, the recording. Jesus Christ, he said. Where are you? Seattle Presbyterian, room 847. Stay there. Don't talk to your parents if they come back. I'm calling the police. They'll send someone over. Now? Right now. What you're describing is attempted murder and insurance fraud. Possibly conspiracy. This is serious, Daniel. I know. I'll be there in 30 minutes. He hung up. Emma looked at me. You okay? No, me neither. We sat in silence. At 6:52 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Seattle PD, Detective Amanda Ross, and Detective James Park were looking for Daniel Morgan. I unlocked the door. Two detectives. Detective Ross was in her 40s, short hair, sharp eyes. Detective Park was younger, Asian, methodical looking. I'm Daniel. Mr. Chen called us, Detective Ross said. Said you have evidence of attempted murder? Yes. Can we hear it? I played them the recording, showed them the photos of the insurance documents. Emma gave her statement, explained what she'd heard, what she'd found. Detective Park took notes. Detective Ross photographed everything with her department-issued phone. This is definitely criminal, Ross said. Conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud, forgery. How long have you known about this? 45 minutes, I said. And you're sure this is your parents' voices on the recording? Positive. Where are they now? Dinner. They should be back around 7:30. Ross looked at Park. Call for backup. We'll arrest them when they return. Here? Emma asked. In the hospital? Yes. We don't want them getting wind of this and running. Emma nodded. Good. We waited. Marcus arrived at 7:08 p.m. He reviewed the evidence, confirmed it was solid. They're going to claim the recording was taken illegally, he said. But since Emma recorded it as a party to the conversation, it's admissible in Washington state. The insurance documents are clear fraud, and the statements on the recording constitute conspiracy. What kind of sentence are we looking at? I asked. If convicted, 25 to life, each. This is first-degree attempted murder, premeditated, with financial motive. Judges don't take kindly to parents trying to kill their children for insurance money. At 7:34 p.m., my parents came back. They walked into Emma's room smiling, carrying takeout bags from some Italian restaurant. Sweetheart, we brought you... Mom stopped. She saw the detectives. What's going on? Detective Ross stepped forward. Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, I'm Detective Ross, Seattle PD. We need to speak with you about some insurance policies you took out on your son. Dad's face went white. I don't know what you're talking about. We have recordings, Park said. Photographs, testimony. You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. This is insane. Mom dropped the takeout bags. We haven't done anything. You took out $4 million in life insurance on Daniel without his knowledge or consent, Ross said. Then you attempted to coerce him into a fatal medical procedure. That's attempted murder. He was supposed to donate to his sister, even though you knew the surgery would kill him. Mom's mouth opened, closed. We have it on tape, Mrs. Morgan. Your own voice, discussing how his death would be convenient, how you'd collect the insurance money. Dad grabbed Mom's arm. Don't say anything. Robert Morgan, Catherine Morgan, you're both under arrest. Ross pulled out handcuffs. You have the right to remain silent. This is Daniel's fault, Mom screamed. She lunged toward me. Park caught her. He poisoned Emma against us. No, Emma said from her hospital bed. Her voice was weak but clear. You did that yourself when you tried to kill my brother. We were trying to save you. You were trying to cash in a life insurance policy. The detectives cuffed them both. Mom was crying, hysterical. You're our children. How can you do this to us? How can we? I felt rage rising. How can you? You took out secret policies on me, forged my signature, tried to guilt me into a surgery that would kill me. And when that didn't work, you started planning another way to murder me, for money. That's not, we never, I have the recording, Emma said. Your voices, planning it all. Dad's face crumbled. Emma, please, get them out of here, Emma said. The detectives led them away. Mom was still screaming as they disappeared down the hallway. Dad was silent, defeated. Emma and I sat in the quiet that followed. Thank you, I said finally. For what? For telling me, for recording them, for, my voice broke, for choosing me over them. You're my brother, she said simply. Of course I chose you. The trial took 4 months. My parents hired a good lawyer, Daniel Greenberg, high-profile criminal defense attorney. But the evidence was overwhelming. The insurance documents with forged signatures, expert testimony confirming the forgery, the recording of my parents discussing my potential death like a business transaction, Emma's testimony, Dr. Patel's testimony, Detective Ross walking the jury through the timeline. The defendants took out $4 million in life insurance on their son immediately after their daughter's diagnosis, she said during her testimony. They then spent months attempting to pressure him into a fatal medical procedure. When medical professionals refused to participate, the defendants began discussing alternative methods to cause his death. The defense tried to paint it as a misunderstanding. They They were desperate parents trying to save their daughter, Greenberg argued. Their judgment was clouded by grief and fear, but the prosecution, Assistant DA Jennifer Liu, 15 years of experience, destroyed that narrative. Desperate parents don't take out secret life insurance policies, she said, during closing arguments. Desperate parents don't forge signatures. Desperate parents don't discuss convenient timing for their son's death. These are not the actions of grief. These are the actions of premeditated murder for financial gain. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Attempted murder in the first degree. Conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. Forgery. Multiple counts for each parent. At sentencing, Judge Margaret Torres, 28 years on the bench, was harsh. In my years as a judge, I've seen many terrible things, but I have never seen parents attempt to murder their own child for insurance money. She looked at my mother and father. You exploited your daughter's illness as cover for financial gain. You forged documents. You conspired to kill your son, and when confronted with evidence of your crimes, you showed no remorse. My mother tried one last time. We're his parents. We loved him. This is all a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Judge Torres cut her off. You took out $4 million in life insurance and then tried to pressure him into fatal surgery. That's not love. That's premeditated murder. And the fact that you're still lying about it shows you've learned nothing. She looked at the sentencing documents. Robert Morgan, I sentence you to 25 years to life in state prison. Catherine Morgan, I sentence you to 25 years to life. You will be eligible for parole after 20 years, but I will personally recommend that parole be denied. The gavel came down. Final. Mom started sobbing. Dad just stared at the table. All rise, the bailiff said. Emma and I stood. My parents were led away in handcuffs and ankle chains. Mom looked back once. At me. At Emma. I'm sorry, she mouthed. I didn't respond. The courtroom doors closed behind them. Emma and I walked out into the cold February air. It had been 4 months since her transplant. She looked healthier, color in her cheeks, stronger. How do you feel? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. Relieved? Sad? Angry? All of the above? Yeah. We stood on the courthouse steps. Media crews were setting up. The case had made national news. Parents sentenced for attempted murder of son over insurance money. We ignored them. What now? Emma asked. Now we live, I said. We build lives they can't touch. Together? Together. She hugged me. Thank you for not giving up, for believing me, for, her voice cracked, for being my brother, my real brother. Thank you for saving my life. You would have done the same. In a heartbeat. We walked to my car, drove away from the courthouse, away from the cameras, away from our parents' legacy of betrayal. 6 months later, Emma graduated college. I was there, front row, cheering when they called her name. She walked across the stage, accepted her diploma, smiled for photos. Afterward, we went to dinner, just the two of us. They would have been here, she said quietly. Before, they would have made this about them. Invited everyone, made a big show. Yeah, I'm glad they're not here. Me too. Is that awful? To be glad your parents are in prison? No, I said. They tried to kill me. You're allowed to be glad they're gone. She smiled, small, sad. I'm glad I have you at least. Same. We clinked glasses. To survival, to justice, to building a life beyond trauma. A year after sentencing, I got a letter from the prison. My mother. 3 pages. Handwritten. Daniel, I know you probably won't read this, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry. For everything. I was desperate and scared and I made horrible choices. I can't take them back, but I need you to know. I did love you. In my own broken way. I just loved money more. And that's my failure, not yours. You were never a mistake. You were never unwanted. Those were lies I told to manipulate you. The truth is, you were always good enough. I just couldn't see it through my own greed. I hope someday you can forgive me. But if you can't, I understand. Love, Mom. I read it once. Then I put it in a drawer. Maybe someday I'd respond, but not today. 2 years later, Emma got married. Her girlfriend, now wife, was amazing, kind, supportive, everything Emma deserved. I walked her down the aisle. Thank you, she whispered before we started walking. For what? For being here. For being my family. She stopped. For choosing me when it mattered. You chose me first, I said. When you recorded them. When you turned them in. You saved my life. We saved each other. Yeah, we did. We walked down the aisle together. Toward her future. Toward healing. Toward a life our parents had tried to destroy but couldn't. Sometimes people ask me if I regret turning my parents in. If I wish I'd just let it go. Moved on. Forgiven them. The answer is always no. Because they didn't just plan to kill me. They planned to get away with it.